In a world constantly racing, where seconds turn into hours and days pass without warning, few moments are powerful enough to stop everything. That day, one name created a pause in the global bustle: Jeon Jungkook. Not as a singer, nor as a K-pop star, but as a symbol of eternity, as a sign that time can have meaning when worn by the right person. Rolex, a brand that for over a century has been a symbol of luxury and precision, chose Jungkook as its global brand ambassador. It wasn't just a business decision, but a statement that shook the global industry. The first visual of the campaign didn't come with excessive fanfare. There was no countdown, no spoilers, just one image: Jungkook standing still, dressed in an elegant dark suit, and on his wrist, a Rolex gleaming in soft light. The world fell silent. Then it exploded in admiration. What made this moment so significant wasn't just that Jungkook was the first Korean idol to be entrusted with the role of global face of Rolex, but for the first time, a symbol of Western exclusivity was opening its doors to a young man from Busan, who had spent years honing himself in the quiet of a training room, not on royal red carpets or elite boardrooms. Rolex didn't just choose someone famous. They chose someone who reflected who they truly were: uncompromising dedication, excellence built on perseverance, not legacy. Jungkook has never been a loud-talking figure, but every gesture, every look, every step exudes a quiet authority, just like Rolex. In the 90-second campaign video, titled "The Moment That Lasts," Jungkook doesn't say a word. But that's precisely his power. Because there are messages too sublime to be spoken, they can only be felt. And those messages resonate with millions around the world. The collaboration quickly trended at #1 in more than 35 countries. Top fashion and business magazines like GQ, Vogue, Forbes, and Elle have called the campaign the most iconic collaboration of the year. The Rolex model Jungkook wore sold out in less than 2 days, while online searches for Rolex surged by over 24%, their highest level in digital history. But the impact wasn't just numbers. It was a cultural shift, a shift in how the world views prestige, exclusivity, and who is worthy of representing them. Once, brands like Rolex were sacred domains guarded by aristocratic figures, royalty, or Western conglomerates. Now, an Eastern artist, nurtured by dreams, rigorous training, and a stage filled with tears and light, stands as the ultimate representation of modern luxury. Jungkook didn't just open a door. He broke down old walls and rebuilt the palace from within. When asked in a behind-the-scenes session about his feelings on being the face of Rolex, Jungkook didn't answer with a grand statement. He simply said quietly, "I've always valued time. Because when you value time, you also value growth. And when Rolex chose me, maybe that means I'm doing something right with my time." A simple sentence, yet one that holds a depth of meaning that touches anyone who has ever dreamed. This is why this moment feels so meaningful. Jungkook didn't achieve this position simply because of fame, but because of the meaning he's building moment by moment. He's the epitome of what can be achieved when hard work and perseverance meet time-honored expectations. Rolex doesn't just choose a face. They find a reflection of their values in a person. He doesn't just wear a Rolex. He is Rolex: precision, silence, eternity. Now, history not only records that Jungkook is the first Korean idol to become a global Rolex brand ambassador, but also that he's changed the definition of who defines global luxury. From a dark practice room to the world stage, from a simple dream to a symbol of global heritage, Jungkook is carving his name not only in the entertainment industry, but also in the history of time itself. Now, time is no longer simply counted. It's felt, it's created. And in those seconds when the world paused, we witnessed more than just a promotion. We witnessed the meeting of two legacies, Rolex and Jungkook, not just for today, but forever. Because time will never come back, but its meaning will live on. And in that one slow smile as the light touched the clock surface, Jungkook didn't just make time look beautiful. He made time a legacy. But the story isn't over. Because just as Rolex never stops ticking, Jungkook's journey is never truly over. Even after the campaign's spotlight faded, the echo of his accomplishments continued to spread, not just among K-pop fans, but also within the exclusive spheres of fashion, business, and global culture. Following this monumental collaboration, prestigious institutions began to view Jungkook not merely as an entertainer, but as a new cultural icon uniting East and West. He was invited to global forums, discussed in fashion and branding journals, and even academics began to examine how the narrative power of K-pop could reshape the global identity of luxury. And amidst it all, Jungkook remained his old self, a man who valued time, took his time, and always put meaning into every small step. He wasn't busy chasing new spotlights. He was more focused on perfecting himself. The Rolex campaign was just a milestone, not a finish line. Because for Jungkook, true luxury isn't about having everything. It's about living everything with value and purpose. Even among his youngest fans, this narrative is inspiring. Many young people are beginning to rethink the meaning of success. That we don't need to be born into privilege to achieve greatness. That success doesn't always come with loud voices, but with consistency and commitment that are invisible to the eye. Jungkook, in his silence, teaches an important lesson, that the time you cherish today can become your legacy tomorrow. It's no wonder that analysts have dubbed this era the Jungkook effect, where the presence of one person can change the way the world works. Where brands that had previously resisted the globalization of Asian pop culture are instead bowing and being captivated by the power of a young artist from South Korea. Rolex has indeed become history, but now, that history has added a new chapter, one written by someone who wasn't born in a palace, but built it himself through hard work. See how that campaign triggered a domino effect. After Rolex, various fashion houses and heritage brands began to reconsider their choices. They no longer simply looked to big names from Europe or America, but began to open their eyes to the power of Asian influence. And Jungkook, once again, became a pioneer, not only breaking boundaries, but also shaping a new direction for the global industry. And interestingly, behind all this spotlight and history, Jungkook himself remained on his path, working quietly, honing his solo projects, and continuing to deepen his capacity as a musician and artist. Never tempted to dwell on any single achievement for too long, because for him, time never stops. And like a Rolex watch that keeps ticking with precision, Jungkook keeps on walking, silently but with a lasting imprint. This is the true power of that moment. It didn't just bring Rolex and Jungkook together. It brought the world together with a new meaning for time, achievement, and luxury. He taught us that sometimes it's not the big bangs or the grand celebrations that make history, but the quiet steps that make the world pause and then change it forever. And at the end of the day, when the spotlight fades, when the campaign is over, when the hashtag stops trending, one thing remains true. Time continues to move on. But this moment, the moment when Jungkook and Rolex came together in silence, in soft light, in profound meaning, will remain. Not just in the memories of armies, but in the pages of global cultural history. Because that day, it wasn't just Rolex that chose Jungkook. But time seemed to choose to stop for a moment and immortalize his name.